Hey, you lost or something? The cleaning crew entrance is around back with the rest of your people. Brittany's voice carried across the marble lobby of Meridian Financial Headquarters. She didn't bother looking up from her phone, just jerked her thumb toward a service corridor. Her tone suggested she'd dealt with this type before. Zara Williams stopped cold. Designer heels clicked once against pristine floors. Her Armani suit was flawless, her leather briefcase polished, her Patek Philippe watch gleaming under crystal chandeliers. Brittany finally lifted her eyes, scanning Zara like unwanted cargo. Seriously, lady? You people always get confused about which door to use. She snapped her fingers at the security guard. Jerome, handle this before the executives see. Her laugh was sharp, dismissive. What's next? Gonna tell me you have business here? Zara checked her watch calmly. 2:47 p.m. She smiled and pulled out her phone. Have you ever been treated like you didn't belong in a place you literally owned? Zara glanced at her watch again. 10 minutes until the board meeting starts upstairs. Her voice was soft, almost conversational. Brittany's head snapped up, confusion flickering across her features. Board meeting? Brittany let out a harsh laugh. Lady, what board meeting? You trying to scam your way into our building? Jerome, the security guard, approached with heavy steps. Mid-50s, gray uniform stretched tight across his belly. His hand rested casually on his radio. Ma'am, I'm gonna need you to step away from the elevators. His voice carried the authority of someone used to being obeyed. Brittany says you're confused about where you belong. Zara remained perfectly still. Her briefcase sat at her feet, monogrammed letters ZW catching the light. A first-class boarding pass peeked from her jacket pocket, today's flight from Chicago. Before you escalate this, Zara said calmly, may I ask who owns this building? Jerome exchanged glances with Brittany. Meridian Financial Group, obviously, and they don't take kindly to people pretending they belong here. Brittany's fingers flew across her phone screen. Within seconds, she was live streaming on the company's Instagram account. Y'all, you won't believe what I'm dealing with today, she whispered into her phone, angling the camera toward Zara. Some woman thinks she can just walk into executive areas like she runs the place. The viewer count started climbing. 12 viewers. 25. 53. Comments began flooding in real time. Security, security. Another entitled Karen. Call the cops. Zara noticed the camera and smiled slightly. She pulled out her own phone, a latest model iPhone in a custom case. A black American Express Centurion card was tucked behind the clear back, its distinctive design unmistakable. Are you recording this interaction? Zara asked Brittany politely. Hell yeah, I am. This is going viral. Brittany's voice grew louder, more theatrical. Everyone needs to see how entitled some people get. Jerome stepped closer, his bulk intended to intimidate. Ma'am, last warning. You need to leave now or I'll have to call the police. More employees began gathering. A maintenance worker paused with his cart. 2 junior analysts from the 3rd floor stopped on their way to lunch, phones already out and recording. The elevator dinged. Patricia Hayes emerged, regional manager written across her sharp features and severe gray suit. 40-something, with the kind of confidence that came from 15 years of climbing corporate ladders. What's the commotion down here? Patricia's voice cut through the growing chatter. This woman's trying to get into executive areas, Brittany explained, still live streaming. The viewer count had jumped to 127. Won't take no for an answer. Patricia sized up Zara with practiced efficiency. Her gaze lingered on Zara's dark skin, then swept dismissively over the expensive suit. Well, she certainly doesn't look like executive material. Patricia's words carried across the marble lobby. Several employees chuckled. Zara's phone buzzed. Text message. Board members arriving. Where are you? She glanced at the screen, then back at Patricia. Executive material. Interesting phrase. Look, honey, Patricia's tone turned patronizingly. I don't know what game you're playing, but this is a serious financial institution. We can't have random people wandering around claiming they belong here. The crowd was growing. Word had spread through the building's informal networks. More phones appeared, more cameras rolling. Brittany's live stream viewer count hit 203. She probably saw our building in some movie and thought she'd try her luck, someone whispered loud enough for everyone to hear. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Zara opened her briefcase slightly, revealing a glimpse of official letterhead. Meridian Financial Group logo embossed in gold. But she closed it again before anyone could read the text. 8 minutes now, she said, checking her watch. Jerome was growing impatient. That's it. I'm calling this in. He reached for his radio. Wait. Patricia held up a hand. Something in Zara's calm demeanor was unsettling her. Let's handle this professionally. Ma'am, I'm going to need to see some identification and proof of business here. Of course. Zara's smile never wavered. But first, I'd like everyone here to state their full names for the record. Patricia's eyebrows shot up. Excuse me? You're not in a position to make demands. We'll see about that in exactly 6 minutes. The elevator dinged again. 2 more figures emerged. Dr. Sarah Bennett and Robert Davidson, both in expensive suits that screamed board member. They paused, taking in the scene with obvious confusion. What's happening down here? Dr. Bennett asked. Patricia quickly approached them. Nothing to worry about, just removing someone who doesn't belong. Robert Davidson glanced at Zara, then at the phones recording everything. This seems like quite a production for a simple removal. Brittany's live stream was approaching 300 viewers. The comments were getting uglier. Typical behavior. Security too soft these days. Throw her out already. Screenshots were already spreading across Twitter and TikTok. The hashtag #MeridianSecurity was starting to trend locally. Zara's phone rang. The caller ID displayed, Board Secretary. She answered on the second ring. Yes, I'm running slightly behind. There's been an interesting development in your lobby. Patricia tried to grab the phone. You can't just... Zara stepped back smoothly, continuing her conversation. No, don't reschedule. I'll be there in 4 minutes. She ended the call and looked directly at Patricia. Time's almost up. Jerome was speaking rapidly into his radio now. Yeah, we might need backup. This is getting out of hand. The crowd had swelled to nearly 20 people. Employees from multiple floors had found excuses to come down to the lobby. The energy was electric, anticipatory. Who do you think you're calling? Patricia demanded, her professional composure finally cracking. Zara didn't answer. She simply opened her briefcase a little wider, letting more of that official letterhead show. 2 minutes until the meeting. The showdown was just beginning. The elevator doors slid open again. VP of Operations Michael Torres stepped out, his Italian leather shoes clicking against marble. Behind him emerged Chief Financial Officer Lisa Park, her expression shifting from casual to concerned as she surveyed the crowd. What the hell is going on down here? Michael's voice boomed across the lobby. 23 years with Meridian had given him an air of unquestioned authority. Patricia rushed toward him, relief flooding her features. Michael, thank God. We have a situation. This woman is refusing to leave and claiming she has business in executive areas. Michael's gaze swept over Zara, taking in her expensive attire with obvious skepticism. Business? What kind of business? She won't say. Patricia lowered her voice, but not enough. Claims she has a board meeting. Can you believe that? Brittany's live stream had exploded to 847 viewers. Comments scrolled past in a blur. This is better than Netflix. How is she still arguing? Security Week AF. Call. Screenshots were spreading across social platforms faster than Jerome could blink. TikTok videos were already being posted with captions like, Karen versus corporate security, and when keeping it real goes wrong. Lisa Park hung back, studying Zara with shrewd eyes. Something wasn't adding up. The woman's composure was unsettling. Too calm, too confident for someone supposedly caught trespassing. Ma'am, Michael addressed Zara directly. I'm VP of Operations. I'm going to need you to explain your presence here immediately. Zara checked her watch. 1 minute and 30 seconds. I appreciate your concern for building security, Mr. Torres. Her use of his name made him flinch. However, I believe there's been a fundamental misunderstanding about who belongs where. How do you know Michael started, then caught himself. Look, lady, I don't know what research you did, but name-dropping won't get you anywhere. The crowd had grown to over 30 people. Word was spreading through Slack channels and text chains. Employees from floors 4 through 12 were finding excuses to visit the lobby. Jerome's backup arrived. 2 additional security guards who looked more confused than prepared. The senior guard, Williams, surveyed the scene with growing unease. What exactly is the threat level here? Williams asked Jerome quietly. She won't leave, Jerome whispered back. Been here 15 minutes arguing with management. Williams studied Zara again. Her posture was relaxed, almost amused. Her briefcase remained partially open, revealing what looked like important documents. This didn't feel like a typical trespassing situation. Brittany's phone was getting hot from extended live streaming. The viewer count hit 1,200. Local news interns were already screen recording the feed. Y'all, this woman is actually insane, Brittany narrated to her audience. She's literally surrounded by security and executives and still won't admit she doesn't belong here. Dr. Bennett stepped forward, her medical background making her naturally observant. Something about this woman's expensive accessories bothered her. The watch alone cost more than most people's cars. Excuse me, Dr. Bennett addressed Zara politely, but may I ask what company you represent? Excellent question. Zara smiled. I represent the stakeholders, employees, and fiduciary interests of Meridian Financial Group. Michael laughed harshly. Stakeholders? Lady, do you even know what that word means? I know it means the 3,847 people who depend on this company for their livelihoods. Zara's voice remained steady. I know it means the $12.3 billion in client assets we manage. And I know it means ensuring this organization maintains its reputation and values. The specificity of her numbers made several executives exchange glances. Those weren't figures you could Google easily. Lisa Park stepped closer. How do you know our exact employee count? The same way I know our Q3 revenue was $847 million. Zara opened her briefcase slightly wider. The same way I know we're facing a federal compliance review next month. The lobby fell silent. That information wasn't public. Patricia's confidence wavered. Those are internal figures. 1 minute, Zara announced, checking her watch. Michael was growing desperate. This was spiraling beyond a simple trespassing incident. Security, I want her removed now. Use whatever force necessary. Williams hesitated. Sir, she hasn't actually done anything illegal. And with all these cameras... The live stream viewer count had reached 1,847. Local Twitter was exploding. Screenshots were being shared in executive assistant group chats across the financial district. Zara's phone rang again. This time she answered the speaker. Ms. Williams, the board is assembled and waiting. The voice was crisp, professional. Shall I tell them you're delayed? Every executive in the lobby froze. No need, Margaret. Tell them I'm addressing a personnel matter and will be there momentarily. She hung up and looked directly at Michael. 45 seconds. Patricia was frantically Googling on her phone. Williams, Williams, CEO. Her face went ashen. Robert Davidson had been quiet throughout the confrontation, but now he stepped forward with dawning recognition. Wait a minute, your briefcase. The monogram says ZW. That's correct. And you just spoke to someone named Margaret. Our board secretary. Lovely woman. 15 years with the company. Lisa Park's face had drained of color. She was rapidly connecting dots that painted a terrifying picture. Michael was still in denial. This is ridiculous. I would know if— If what? Zara interrupted gently. If your CEO was a black woman? If she didn't fit your mental image of executive leadership? The words hung in the air like a challenge. Brittany's live stream had attracted a local news station intern who was recording everything. The viewer count was approaching 2,100. Meridian security was trending across 3 states. Jerome's radio crackled. All units, please respond to the main lobby. We have a code yellow situation. Code yellow? Williams asked. VIP misidentification, Jerome read from his manual, confusion evident in his voice. Dr. Bennett was pulling up the company website on her phone, navigating to the executive leadership page. Her fingers trembled slightly as she scrolled. 30 seconds, Zara announced. The crowd pressed closer, sensing something momentous about to unfold. Phones were recording from every angle. The energy in the lobby was electric with anticipation. Michael made one last, desperate play. I don't care who you claim to be. This is private property, and you're trespassing. Zara reached into her briefcase and pulled out a single sheet of paper. Meridian Financial Group letterhead, official seal, today's date. Mr. Torres, you're absolutely right. This is private property. She held the document where everyone could see the header, but not the content. And as of today, I have emergency authority to determine who belongs here and who doesn't. Patricia tried to grab the document. Zara smoothly stepped back. 15 seconds. The elevator dinged one final time. Margaret Bennett, the board secretary, emerged with a stack of folders and a look of mild concern. Ms. Williams, the entire board is present and accounted for. They're asking about the delay. She paused, taking in the crowd, the cameras, the obvious tension. Is everything all right? Zara smiled. Everything is about to be perfectly clear. 10 seconds. The moment of truth had arrived. Time stopped. Zara lifted the document higher, and for the first time, the full letterhead became visible to everyone in the lobby. Office of the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, Meridian Financial Group Doctor. Bennett's phone slipped from her fingers, clattering against the marble floor. Margaret, the board secretary, looked bewildered by the crowd. Ms. Williams, I'm not sure what's happening, but the board members are getting concerned about the delay. The words hit the lobby like a physical force. Ms. Williams? Patricia's voice came out as a whisper. Michael Torres felt his knees weaken. He grabbed the security desk for support, his face cycling through confusion, recognition, and pure terror. Brittany's live stream exploded. The comment section became a blur of shock, disbelief, and sudden understanding. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Did she just say CEO? They're so fired! Recording this for evidence. The viewer count spiked past 3,200 as word spread like wildfire across social media platforms. Zara turned the document around, holding it steady so the cameras could capture every detail. The official seal gleamed under the lobby lights. Today's date, her signature at the bottom. Emergency Board Resolution 2025-0812, authorizing immediate executive action. For those who are recording, Zara's voice carried across the silent lobby with crystalline clarity. My name is Zara Williams. I am the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Meridian Financial Group. The silence stretched like a taut wire. This company, which I have led for 3 years, generated $847 million in revenue last quarter and manages $12.3 billion in client assets for over 150,000 individual and institutional investors. Jerome's radio fell from his hand, hitting the floor with a plastic crack. Lisa Park was frantically scrolling through the company website on her phone, her face growing paler with each swipe. There it was, executive leadership page, updated just last month. Zara Williams, Chairman and CEO. The same face, the same composed expression, wearing the same style of elegant business attire. That's not possible, Brittany stammered, her live stream shaking as her hands trembled. Margaret stepped forward, genuine concern replacing confusion. Ms. Williams, shall I inform the board you're handling an urgent personnel matter? Yes, Margaret. Tell them I'm addressing a discrimination incident that requires immediate executive intervention. The words discrimination incident sent a visible shudder through every Meridian employee present. Robert Davidson approached slowly, like someone walking through a minefield. Zara, we had no idea. We just arrived and saw the commotion. We thought... You thought what, Robert? Zara's tone remained calm, but there was steel underneath. That someone who looks like me couldn't possibly belong in your executive elevator? Patricia was hyperventilating. 15 years with the company, mortgage payments, 2 kids in private school. Her entire career was flashing before her eyes. I didn't know, she gasped. How could I have known? Perhaps by treating every person who enters this building with basic human dignity, Zara suggested. Or by recognizing that leadership comes in many forms? Michael Torres tried to speak, his voice cracking. Ms. Williams, I sincerely apologize. There's been a terrible misunderstanding. Has there? Zara interrupted. Or has there been a perfect understanding of exactly how certain people are viewed in this organization? She pulled out her phone and began scrolling through the screenshots that had already been sent to her by Margaret's assistant. Social media posts, text messages, Slack conversations, the digital trail of the last 25 minutes. Let's see what we have here. Zara's voice took on the tone of someone reading a quarterly report. Brittany's Instagram live stream currently at 3,847 viewers. Hashtag Meridian Security trending across 7 states. Screenshots shared in 14 different social media groups. She looked up at Brittany, who had gone completely white. Your caption reads, and I quote, "Dealing with entitled people today, eye roll emoji. Some people really think they can just walk into executive areas like they own the place." Brittany's phone was still live streaming. The irony was lost on no one. The comments are particularly illuminating, Zara continued. Several dozen references to those people and suggestions that I should be thrown out or arrested. Security guard Williams stepped forward, his face gravely. Ma'am, I apologize. We should have verified. Should have verified what? Zara asked. My right to exist in this space? My credentials before assuming I was trespassing? She turned to address the broader crowd, many of whom were still recording. I want everyone here to understand something crucial. I don't owe anyone in this lobby proof of my identity to justify my presence. No one should have to produce credentials to walk through a building lobby without being harassed. Dr. Bennett had retrieved her phone and was now frantically deleting her earlier text messages to her husband about the situation in the lobby. Zara noticed the gesture. Dr. Bennett, I hope you weren't sharing this incident with others before understanding the full context. No, I wouldn't, Dr. Bennett stammered. Margaret reappeared from the elevator. Ms. Williams, the board is asking if they should proceed with Agenda Item 1 or wait for your arrival. Tell them we have a new Agenda Item 1, Employee Conduct and Discrimination Protocols. We'll be addressing some immediate policy changes. Margaret nodded and disappeared back into the elevator. The crowd began to thin as employees realized they were witnessing potential terminations in real time. Several junior staff members quietly slipped away, not wanting to be associated with the incident. But the executives remained frozen, trapped by their own actions and words. Zara reached into her briefcase and pulled out a second document. This one was thicker, bound with a black cover. This is Meridian's Employee Handbook, current edition. Section 4.7 specifically addresses discrimination and hostile workplace environments. She flipped to a marked page. Any employee who creates a hostile environment based on race, gender, or perceived social status can be subject to immediate termination for cause. Patricia made a choking sound. For cause means no severance, no benefits continuation, and no positive references, Zara continued matter-of-factly. It also means potential legal liability for the individuals involved. Michael Torres found his voice, though it came out as a croak. Ms. Williams, surely we can resolve this internally. No one intended... Mr. Torres, intent matters far less than impact. The impact is that we now have documented evidence of discriminatory behavior by multiple employees, witnessed by dozens of people, and broadcast to nearly 4,000 viewers across social media platforms. She held up her phone, showing the trending hashtag. The impact is that Meridian Financial Group is now associated with racial profiling and discriminatory treatment of Black individuals. Lisa Park stepped forward tentatively. What can we do to make this right? An excellent question, Lisa. Zara's use of her first name was deliberate, a reminder of the power dynamic. What would you suggest we do when employees publicly humiliate the CEO of their own company based on racial assumptions? The question hung in the air like a sword. Brittany's live stream had reached 4,200 viewers. News stations were starting to pick up the story. Twitter was exploding with commentary. LinkedIn posts were being written by diversity and inclusion professionals across the country. Zara pulled out one final document from her briefcase. This one bore the seal of the board of directors. This morning, the board granted me emergency disciplinary authority to address any personnel issues that might arise during today's compliance review. She held the document so everyone could see it. That authority includes immediate termination, suspension, or mandatory retraining for any employee whose conduct creates legal or reputational liability for the company. The words immediate termination echoed through the lobby like a death sentence. Jerome was quietly trying to back away from the group, hoping to distance himself from the situation. Zara noticed. Jerome, please stay. Your role in this incident needs to be addressed as well. He froze mid-step. Margaret returned from the elevator one final time. Ms. Williams, the board is ready for you. They've cleared the next hour for your presentation on the personnel matter. Zara closed her briefcase with a decisive click. Thank you, Margaret. Please inform them that I'll be bringing several employees with me to discuss their future with the company. She looked around the lobby, making eye contact with each person who had participated in the incident. Patricia Hayes, Regional Manager. Brittany Bennett, Senior Receptionist. Jerome Washington, Security Guard. Michael Torres, VP of Operations. You have exactly 1 hour to report to Conference Room A on the 32nd floor. Her voice was calm, professional, and absolutely terrifying. Bring your employee handbooks, bring your personal items, and bring a very good explanation for how this incident aligns with Meridian's stated values of dignity, respect, and inclusive excellence. The elevator doors slid open behind her. Oh, and one more thing. Zara turned back to face the crowd. For anyone still recording, my door is always open to employees who want to discuss workplace culture, professional development, or concerns about discrimination. She stepped into the elevator. But it's never open to employees who believe they can determine who belongs in this building based on the color of their skin. The doors closed with a soft chime. The lobby erupted in whispered conversations, frantic phone calls, and the sound of several people quietly crying. The reckoning was about to begin. Conference Room A occupied the entire northeast corner of the 32nd floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a commanding view of the city skyline. The polished mahogany table could seat 24 people comfortably. Today, it felt like a courtroom. The board members sat along one side: Dr. Sarah Bennett, Robert Davidson, Margaret Thompson, and James Walsh. Their expressions ranged from concerned to deeply uncomfortable. Across from them sat the defendants: Patricia Hayes, Brittany Bennett, Jerome Washington, and Michael Torres. Each clutched their employee handbook like a life preserver. Zara entered precisely at 4:00 p.m., carrying a leather portfolio and a tablet displaying real-time social media metrics. Thank you for accommodating this emergency session, she began, settling into her chair at the head of the table. Before we address individual accountability, let's review the scope of today's incident. She tapped her tablet, and the wall-mounted screen came alive with data. Current social media reach, 47,000 Twitter impressions, 23,000 Instagram views, 156 LinkedIn shares. The hashtag Meridian Security has been mentioned 1,847 times in the past 2 hours. Patricia's face had turned ashen. Michael stared at his hands. More concerning, Zara continued, is the financial impact. Our compliance department has already fielded calls from 3 major institutional clients expressing concern about our workplace culture. She clicked to the next slide. Henderson Retirement Fund, managing $340 million of assets with us, has requested a meeting to discuss their ESG compliance requirements. They specifically mentioned today's incident. Board member James Walsh leaned forward. How did they learn about it so quickly? Henderson's chief investment officer follows several diversity and inclusion advocates on Twitter. The story reached her feed within 90 minutes. Zara turned to face the employees directly. Let's be clear about what happened today. Each of you made assumptions about my right to be in this building based solely on my appearance. Those assumptions led to discriminatory actions that were broadcast to thousands of people. She opened her portfolio and removed 4 separate files. Patricia Hayes, 15 years with Meridian, Regional Manager, Southwest Division, annual salary $127,000 plus performance bonuses. Patricia's breathing became shallow. Your words today, and I quote from the recording, she certainly doesn't look like executive material. You then suggested I was playing some game and called me honey in a deliberately patronizing tone. Patricia tried to speak. Ms. Williams, I'm not finished. Zara's voice cut through the attempt. You also attempted to grab confidential documents from my hands and publicly questioned my mental state. She moved to the next file. Brittany Bennett, 3 years with Meridian, Senior Receptionist, annual salary $52,000. Brittany was quietly crying, mascara streaking down her cheeks. You live-streamed the entire incident on company social media accounts without authorization. Your commentary included phrases like cleaning crew entrance and your people. You also suggested I was trying to scam my way into the building. Zara's voice remained clinical, professional. Jerome Washington, 8 years with Meridian Security, shift supervisor, annual salary $48,000. Jerome's hands were shaking. You threatened to call the police on me without any evidence of wrongdoing. You also failed to follow basic security protocols, which require respectful identity verification before any enforcement action. Finally, she reached Michael's file. Michael Torres, 23 years with Meridian, Vice President of Operations, annual salary $185,000 plus equity compensation. Michael looked like he might be sick. You instructed security to use whatever force necessary to remove me from the building. You also made assumptions about my knowledge and qualifications based on my appearance. Zara closed the files and looked around the table. Under normal circumstances, today's actions would result in immediate termination for cause. However, I'm more interested in understanding the systemic issues that led to this moment. She turned to Patricia first. In your 15 years here, have you ever questioned a white person's right to be in the executive elevator area? Patricia's voice was barely a whisper. No, ma'am. Have you ever suggested that a white person in business attire was lost or confused about building access? No. Yet you felt comfortable making those assumptions about me within seconds of seeing me. Why? The question hung in the air. Patricia struggled to respond. I don't know. I made a terrible mistake. It wasn't a mistake, Patricia. It was a choice. A choice based on racial bias. Zara moved to Brittany. Your live stream reached 4,200 viewers at its peak. You turned what should have been a private interaction into public entertainment. What gave you that right? Brittany could barely speak through her tears. Nothing. I had no right. You called me cleaning crew and referred to my people. Explain that language. I can't. It was wrong. Completely wrong. Jerome, Zara turned to the security guard. Your job is to protect everyone in this building. Did you protect me today? No, ma'am. I failed. You threatened police action against the CEO of your own company. What does that tell us about your judgment? Jerome had no answer. And Michael? Zara's voice hardened slightly. As VP of Operations, you're responsible for building security protocols. You ordered the use of force against me. In 23 years here, how many times have you made similar orders? Never, Michael admitted. So why today? What was different about today? The room fell silent except for the sound of Brittany's quiet sobbing. I'll tell you what was different, Zara continued. Today, you saw a black woman in your lobby and immediately assumed she didn't belong. Your unconscious bias became conscious discrimination. She stood and walked to the windows, looking out at the city. This company manages money for teachers, firefighters, small business owners, retirees. They trust us with their futures. How can we serve a diverse client base when our own employees can't recognize diversity in leadership? Board member Dr. Bennett spoke up. What are you proposing, Zara? Zara returned to her seat. I'm proposing accountability with education. Each of you will face consequences, but you'll also have opportunities for growth. She reopened her portfolio. Patricia, you're being demoted from regional manager to account supervisor. Salary reduction to $85,000, mandatory bias training, and 6 months of performance monitoring. Patricia nodded, relief evident despite the demotion. Brittany, you're suspended without pay for 2 weeks. Completion of social media training and diversity education before returning. Any future violations result in immediate termination. Jerome, you'll undergo additional security training focused on respectful engagement, written reprimand in your permanent file. And Michael, Zara paused. You present the biggest challenge. As a VP, your actions today demonstrated failure in judgment, leadership, and company values. Michael's face went white. You're being suspended for 30 days without pay. Upon return, you'll be transferred to a non-supervisory role in compliance. Your VP title and equity compensation are terminated immediately. The financial impact hit him like a physical blow. Loss of equity alone cost him nearly $400,000. However, Zara continued, these disciplinary actions come with an opportunity. Meridian will become a case study in transforming workplace culture. Each of you will participate in that transformation. She clicked to a new slide on the screen. We're implementing the Respectful Recognition Protocol, anonymous reporting systems, bias training for all staff, and regular culture assessments. We're also launching the Meridian Inclusion Initiative, community partnerships, scholarship programs, and mentorship opportunities for underrepresented professionals. James Walsh leaned back in his chair. This will require significant investment. The investment in doing nothing is far greater, Zara replied. Today's incident could have cost us millions in client losses and reputation damage. She turned back to the employees. You have choices to make. Accept these consequences and commit to growth, or choose to leave Meridian with basic severance packages. If you stay, you'll help us build something better. If you leave, you'll carry this experience with you wherever you go. Patricia spoke first. I want to stay. I want to learn. One by one, they all chose to stay. Good, Zara said, because change is hard work. It requires honest examination of our biases and genuine commitment to doing better. She gathered her files. Training begins Monday. HR will provide details. And remember, this isn't about punishment. It's about transformation. As they filed out of the conference room, Zara remained seated, looking out at the city skyline. The real work was just beginning. 6 months later, the Meridian financial lobby had transformed. Gone was the sterile marble intimidation. In its place, warm lighting, comfortable seating areas, and digital displays showcasing the company's diversity and inclusion achievements. Brittany still worked the front desk, but her approach had evolved dramatically. Today, she greeted every visitor with genuine warmth, regardless of their appearance or perceived status. "Good morning. Welcome to Meridian Financial. How may I assist you today?" Her smile was authentic as she addressed a young black entrepreneur seeking small business banking services. The respectful recognition protocol had become the gold standard across the financial services industry. Within 3 months of implementation, discrimination complaints dropped to 0. Employee satisfaction scores reached company records. Patricia Hayes, now an account supervisor, had become one of the program's strongest advocates. Her personal transformation story was featured in Harvard Business Review's Leadership Through Learning series. "I had to confront my own biases," she told the interviewer. "Zara Williams didn't just save my career, she saved me from perpetuating harm I didn't even realize I was causing." The numbers told the story of genuine change. Employee satisfaction scores. Pre-incident, 67% positive. 6 months post-reform, 94% positive. Diversity and inclusion, specific, 97% positive client retention and growth. 0 client losses related to the incident. $847 million in new business from ESG-focused investors. 23%. Increase in clients from underrepresented communities. Jerome Washington had been promoted to senior security supervisor after completing advanced diversity training. He now trained new security personnel on respectful engagement protocols. "Every person who walks through our doors deserves dignity," he would tell new recruits. "Your job isn't to judge who belongs, it's to help everyone feel welcome." Michael Torres, initially devastated by his demotion, had found unexpected fulfillment in compliance work. His experience with unconscious bias made him exceptionally effective at identifying and preventing discrimination issues before they escalated. The Meridian Inclusion Initiative had exceeded all expectations. Community impact: 47 scholarships awarded to underrepresented students. 12 partnerships with historically black colleges and universities. 156 young professionals mentored through career development programs. Industry recognition: Workplace Transformation Excellence Award from the National Diversity Council, featured case study in 3 business schools. Model adopted by 31 other financial institutions. The anonymous reporting app has become a powerful tool for continuous improvement. Employees used it not just to report problems, but to celebrate inclusive behaviors and suggest further improvements. App usage statistics: 847 positive behavior reports submitted, 23 potential issues resolved before escalation. 98% of users rated the system as very helpful. Zara's leadership approach had sparked industry-wide conversations about dignity in the workplace. Her TED Talk, Power, Privilege, and the Choice to Transform, had garnered 2.3 million views. "True power isn't about punishment," she told the audience. "It's about creating systems that prevent harm and promote growth for everyone." The incident had also led to unexpected opportunities. Meridian was now the preferred financial partner for several major corporations seeking to work with truly inclusive businesses. New corporate partnerships: Henderson Retirement Fund expanded their relationship by $500 million. 3 Fortune 500 companies moved their primary banking to Meridian ESG Investment Fund partnerships worth $1.2 billion. Local news stations regularly featured Meridian as an example of how companies could recover from crisis through authentic change. The story had become required reading in crisis management courses. The real victory, however, was measured in daily interactions. Employees now instinctively considered inclusion in every decision. The culture shift was genuine, sustainable, and deeply embedded. Monthly culture metrics: bias incident reports, 0 for 4 consecutive months. Cross-cultural collaboration projects, up 340%. Employee referrals from diverse networks, up 156%. Dr. Bennett, reflecting on the board's quarterly review, noted that the incident had ultimately strengthened the company immeasurably. "We thought we were an inclusive organization," she admitted. "Zara showed us the difference between good intentions and real impact." The transformation extended beyond Meridian's walls. Other companies began implementing similar protocols proactively, learning from Meridian's experience rather than waiting for their own crisis. Industry ripple effects. 31 companies adopted respectful recognition protocols. Industry-wide bias training standards improved. Financial services diversity metrics reached historic highs. But perhaps the most meaningful change was personal. Each individual involved had grown in ways they couldn't have imagined. Brittany had enrolled in diversity studies courses and was planning to transfer to HR to help expand inclusion programs. Patricia had become a mentor to young women of color entering finance, using her experience to help them navigate workplace challenges. Jerome had started a community program teaching conflict de-escalation and respectful communication skills. Michael had found purpose in compliance work, preventing the kind of discrimination he had once perpetuated. The lobby that had once been a site of humiliation had become a symbol of possibility. Visitors often commented on the warmth and professionalism of the environment. Zara's approach, choosing transformation over termination, education over humiliation, had created something unprecedented. A discrimination incident that actually advanced workplace equity rather than merely punishing it. The real power hadn't been in firing people. It had been transforming them. And through them, transforming an entire industry's understanding of what true inclusion looks like in action. 1 year later, Zara Williams stood in the same lobby where she had been told to use the service entrance. Today, she was welcoming a delegation of international business leaders studying Meridian's transformation model. The story had become legend, not for the discrimination that occurred, but for the response that followed. "How did you resist the urge for immediate punishment?" asked Dr. Akiko Tanaka, a leadership researcher from Tokyo. Zara smiled, remembering that moment of choice 12 months ago. Because punishment teaches fear, transformation teaches growth, and growth creates lasting change. The numbers supported her philosophy. Meridian had become the most sought-after employer in financial services. Applications from diverse candidates had increased 400%. Revenue had grown by 23%. But the real legacy lived in the daily interactions throughout the building. The ripple effect. The story had transcended corporate America. Teachers used it in classrooms to discuss bias and leadership. Social workers referenced it in community programs. Parents shared it with teenagers learning about dignity and respect. LinkedIn posts about the incident still circulated regularly, shared by professionals who saw themselves in various parts of the story. The hashtag #ChooseTransformation had been used over 50,000 times. Personal transformations. Each person involved had become an advocate for change in their own way. Brittany now led diversity training sessions, sharing her experience with brutal honesty. "I was the person live streaming discrimination," she would tell audiences, "but I was also given the chance to become better." Patricia had started a mentorship network connecting senior executives with emerging leaders from underrepresented backgrounds. Her program had grown to include 12 companies across 3 states. Jerome's conflict resolution workshops had expanded beyond corporate settings. Police departments, schools, and community centers requested his training on respectful engagement. Michael had found his calling in compliance, preventing discrimination incidents before they occurred. His early intervention programs were being studied by organizational psychologists nationwide. The universal lesson. These weren't just Black stories or corporate life stories. They were touching stories about human potential for growth. Real-life stories proving that our worst moments can become catalysts for our best selves. The incident demonstrated that power used wisely creates possibilities rather than punishments. That dignity offered freely returns multiplied. That choosing elevation over humiliation lifts everyone. Values in action. Zara's approach had proven that true leadership means seeing potential even in those who wrong you. That systemic change requires personal transformation. That lasting progress comes through patient cultivation of better choices. The lobby had become a symbol of possibility, a place where assumptions were challenged, biases were confronted, and growth was chosen over grudges. Your story matters. Every workplace has moments like these. Moments when bias shows itself, when assumptions become actions, when dignity is either protected or violated. The choice is always the same: punish or transform, exclude or include, tear down or build up. What will you choose? If you've witnessed or experienced discrimination in professional settings, your voice can create change. Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Hit that like button if you believe workplaces should be spaces of dignity for everyone, regardless of who they are or what they look like. Subscribe to Black Tales Stories for more inspiring accounts of resilience, intelligence, and the power of choosing transformation over retaliation. Share this video with someone who needs to see that our greatest power lies not in bringing others down, but in lifting them up. Because the most powerful response to discrimination isn't revenge, it's revolution through respect. Welcome to Black Tales Stories, where every ending is really a beginning.